Okay, I'll be real with you. There was a stretch of that True Detective Night Country finale where I don't think I exhaled once. Like, I was just tense the whole time. The show just wrapped up its 4th season. Today on the podcast, you'll hear whether this season of True Detective sticks the landing. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This is Commotion. Okay, so this past Sunday, we got the season finale of HBO's True Detective Night Country. There's a lot to talk about, but first, let me just give you a little taste.
Can't you hear it?
What?
She's calling.
Oh, no. We're going to go back to the past now.
No, I swear to God, it's here.
We're not just going to walk around and wait for you to... Oh, God!
Unfortunately, now I have shivers all over again just listening to that. That is actors Kaylee Reese and Jodie Foster. They play Trooper Navarro and Police Chief Liz Danvers, respectively. If you've not seen the show, if you've not seen the season, these two are investigating the mysterious death of a group of scientists and also the links between their death and the case of a murdered Indigenous woman. And this season of True Detective has some firsts, okay? It's the first season to have 2 lead characters both be women. Issa Lopez takes over as showrunner after years of the creator, Nick Pizzolatto, running the show. Some critics have been calling this season the best True Detective season finale. Look, we're going to have this conversation with an Indigenous critic. We're just having a little bit of trouble connecting with her. In the meantime, Sarah-Tai Black is here with their thoughts. Sarah-Tai, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thank
you.
I'm excited to talk about the show. I'm excited to get it out of my system because I feel like it's been in my body ever since I saw that finale. So let's do a scale of 1 to 10, if you will. This being the best thing you've ever seen. What do you give the finale of True Detective season 4?
For the finale specifically,
Yeah.
I say I give it an 8. It's
Nice.
definitely the only True Detective finale where I was like, fist pumping. For the series, not an 8, maybe like a 6 or 6.5. But that finale really had me going.
I think there's something really like magical about watching Kaylee Reese, who's not a professional actor by any stretch. Kaylee Reese has not acted before in things, and then she's used to fighting. That's the profession that she comes in. How do you feel like she does?
That's not true, Ellen.
Or to tell me more. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That's not true, Ellen.
I'm
she
being
was in
corrected. Let's go.
a film called Catch the Fair One, which also had kind of thematics that were intersecting with this missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. She's a boxer who's trying to find her sister who's been sex trafficked. So,
but she's I sort of only knew her as a boxer. I was like in the stretch of the fighting thing.
Yeah.
So she is a revelation as an actor in this role.
Yes, she's amazing.
Can we talk a little bit about this idea of being a boxer turned actor? She plays Trooper Evangeline Navarro. Callie is Afro-Indigenous, so is her character. What struck you about her performance as Trooper Navarro?
I think just first of all, and I hate to say this because this shouldn't be the standard to which we hold anything, there just aren't a lot of stories about Black Indigenous folks on screen, especially not in terms of like reconnecting specifically within Indigenous communities like we see here. We see a lot of tensions being unworked as she's kind of trying to find her place, and also like her role as a police officer and how that might complicate all of those intersections. I thought she was amazing.
I want to place a little bit more of Kaylee Reese's character. This is an exchange between Trooper Navarro and her former partner at this point, Chief Liz Danvers, played by Jodie Foster. I just want to warn people, the scene I'm about to play revolves around a discussion about a fictional murdered Indigenous woman. Take a listen.
Not her tongue.
How do you know?
It's been 6 years. Can't be her tongue.
Let me see it then.
No.
It's a woman's tongue. It's an Inupiaq woman's tongue.
And you know this because your spirit animal came to you in a dream?
My spirit animal eats old white ladies like you for breakfast, Danvers. Careful.
Sarah, how do you feel about the chemistry between Kaylee Reese and Jodie Foster?
As much as it was something that I think formed the core of the show, I liked it a lot. A lot of myself was thinking, what might it look like to have a show where we weren't kind of working around that dynamic? What might it mean to not have to have that like kind of initial threshold? I think specifically in terms of what it means to identify watching a show like this. But that said, I love Jodie. I love Kaylee. I think they both did really well. And I think one of the things that this show gave the most weight to was, again, those kind of tensions, especially with Jodie Foster's character and her daughter, who is Nupiaq, and like facing those kind of like, what does it mean to raise a daughter who I can't support in terms of her connection to her, ancestral past and present, things like that.
We should say that this season centers predominantly around Indigenous characters, the Alaskan community they're from, and also the larger issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women. How did you feel about the way that these things were handled throughout this season? I'm asking this also acknowledging that, this panel would have otherwise had an Indigenous critic who could also respond to these questions. Yeah.
I will say, when this season was first announced and like we didn't know anything really about the subject matter, I was like, yes, Jodie Foster, yes, yes, yes. And then I saw Kaylee and I was like, yes. Yeah. But then once we got into the nitty gritty about it and seeing how this is really a story revolving around missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, as well as extraction and exploitation of the land, I was like, I'm not sure we need this much Jodie here. And I love me some Jodie, know, and by the end of the season, I found myself again wondering what might it look like to watch a show that decentered Jodie from that role, that decentered this kind of narrative identifying through narrative hump where you go in through Jodie or you go in through Hallie Reese's character reconnecting. What might it be like to just go straight to the mean potatoes, so to speak?
There's that scene around the kitchen table where Jodie finally sort of has a moment where she takes a backseat. And Kaylee's character is the one that's doing the talking, is the one that's doing the, hey, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do about this case now that we know the truth of what happened. It takes a while to get there, as you just mentioned. It takes a little while to get there. But when you do get there, I found that moment kind of satisfying. Is there something kind of redeeming about that moment for you?
I wouldn't say redeeming. I think that's one of the few, narratively speaking, channels that the series could take without being deeply problematic. But also it felt kind of overdue, even as much as I enjoyed it. I was thinking a lot like True Detective itself is a very contentious series. It's very masculinist. It's very much a whodunit. And I think that given that kind of unpositioning, if you will, it would have been interesting to me to see like a whodunit turn into like a we done it. Like what happens when we completely switch the camera and we're like within that group of women rather than just at the end, Yeah.
A whodunit turned into a we done it should be a genre of film that we should create. And Sarah-Tai, you're now in charge of this. We should talk a little bit about Issa Lopez, the creator of the season. Issa Lopez has talked a lot about wanting to reverse the dynamics from season one. One of the things that she mentioned is she said, her background is Mexican. She moved to California and she just kind of noticed, oh, my people here are kind of invisible. Like there is just an entire universe where people are just not paying attention to us. What would it happen if we set the same kind of story in a world where all the people who you expect to be at the center of these stories, the white scientists, the white detectives, are in fact treating as invisible all the Indigenous people who are around them. And this is the sort of setup that she wanted to create. She talked a little bit about the fact that, she wrote the first batch of the scripts, and then the community that she wanted to set this movie in. She basically created a council of people who would give her notes on the scripts. What do you make of the way that she has been open about having this conversation? Because you don't see a lot of non-Indigenous creators trying to say, you know what, it is also incumbent upon me to engage in these stories. How do you feel about the way that Issa went about it?
I mean, I will say this is the very first season of True Detective where I was like, if only because it centered women's stories just in general, I was immediately like, oh, I want to watch this immediately as it comes out, rather than on my own time and sort of like sift through these narratives that I don't really see myself in. Not that I need to, but just they don't hit that hard with me, frankly. I think if anything, this season is a really interesting study in exactly that kind of work. I don't think it's all the while that successful if you look at the season as a whole. I wish you took it further, It's like I see all the kernels there and I wish all of them were driven a bit further, which I'm sure of course would like piss off the Nick Pizzolatto fans even more. But for me, I'm like, let's fully commit to the bit. Like let's fully go into like Indigenous cosmologies and the kind of supernatural and the link to like neurodivergence. Like Let's do it.
All right. First of all, I'm so glad that you brought up the Nick Pizzolatto and his fans, because this has been kind of a parallel story that has been going on as the season has been airing. And Nick is a creator of True Detective, the showrunner for the last 3 seasons. This is the first season where he's not the showrunner. He has not been quiet. Even though he's credited in the opening credits of the show, he's not been chill. He's not been like, oh, I'm just going to support this project and keep my mouth shut. He's been actively reposting people who have been kind of mean about the show. What do you make of Nick's what do you make of Nick's very public criticism of the first season that doesn't involve him?
It's giving wow wow baby. It's giving go touch my things. It's giving how dare you try to incorporate my ideas, which, to be fair, I think there is definitely a criticism in how a lot of those were hollowly gestured to. That said, I think it's also like part of the act of like paying tribute to the work that came before. Yeah. I think that, what's the saying? Don't throw stones in glass houses, Nikki. We all watched season 2. And frankly, even season 1 is not as untouchable as a lot of the fans would make it to be seeming like. It's a super masculinist narrative arc, specifically in season 1 and 2, that I think even just from optics alone, he should know better than to be kind of going so unprofessionally, so kind of snarkily in his public critique. I think that's also allowing fans of his same demographic to feel more okay in calling out the show along those terms, rather than more in-depth criticisms that are grounded in anything beyond.
Truly, it's extraordinary that he did not have it in himself to just go with grace. All you had to do was say nothing. All you had to do was truly just not comment on the season. All you had to say was nothing. And because this season has been so beloved by critics, and maybe that does not sit well with his soul. I don't know what's going on there, but what I do know is I appreciate you being here, Sarah-Tai. Thank you for your time, friend. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Sarah-Tai Black is a culture critic based in Toronto. You can stream the entire season of True Detective Night Country right now on Crave. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and you're listening to Commotion. Listen, by now you've maybe seen your fair share of AI-generated videos online. Maybe you remember this one. It went viral maybe 10 months ago. It was Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Uncle Phil, come try this. Fresh pasta of Bel Air.
Woof. The reaction to that video was pretty much, all right, cool. So that's what AI-generated videos can do. Fun for a meme, but definitely not believable. Well, maybe we have a problem, because fast forward to now when OpenAI has revealed what its latest generative technology can really do, and let's just say the results are staggering. Sora converts text into super realistic videos, which are almost on par with a Hollywood film. We've turned to Sinead Bovell a few times on the show to help us kind of wrap our heads around the latest developments with artificial intelligence. She's back with us this morning. Sinead, how's it going, friend?
Hi, great to be back. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm a little not disturbed, but shook maybe by the capabilities of Sora. We got to talk about it. This is one of those moments where I wish people could see what we're talking about. So you're going to have to use your words. Maybe describe some of the videos that OpenAI showed us last week.
Oh, great. I mean, where to even start? So there were a few that really stood out to me. I'd say one is, it's like a Pixar style video of an animated little bear that's quite enamored by a candle. That one got a lot of retweets and comments and hearts. There's one of a grandmother in an instructional cooking session for her homemade gnocchi. And it's a beautiful rustic countryside kitchen. And I think the one that has garnered the most attention is a couple walking in Tokyo in the snow. And you can actually see the snow blowing in the wind and people shopping at nearby stalls. So it really does transplant you to Tokyo, even if it's just for those short few seconds.
Is there one that particularly blew you away?
There was one, I think, of a grandmother that was blowing out candles on a cake for her birthday. and the expression of joy and her family behind her waving, excited. And it just seemed so pure. And that one really caught my attention. You felt like you were there, that you've seen that grandmother, you've been to that birthday, and it really transported you to that room.
This is one of those moments where I'm uncomfortable admitting it because I'm like, yeah, I saw that one and I was really moved by it. And I kind of had to sit with myself and go like, what does it mean to be moved by a video made entirely by AI? And that's a question we're going to get to at some point. That's too big a question. Maybe let's just start by saying, how does it work? How does Sora work?
Right. So Sora, it's a text to video generator. So if you're familiar with something like ChatGPT, where you give it a line of text and it generates an essay, Sora is kind of like the video version of that. You give it a prompt of what you want it to generate, a few lines of text, and it will turn that into a video. And right now, the videos are only about a minute in length. Yeah. But it doesn't just work with videos. You could have it extend an existing video that you're working on. You could turn an image that you have into a video, or maybe you have a short video and you want it to kind of repeat on a loop, like some editing tricks. It can do all of that, and it can essentially extend videos forward and backwards in time.
So this is nuts to me because contrast that with the AI videos that we were seeing with the Will Smith spaghetti video from 10 months ago. How far has this technology come in just a short 10 months?
I mean, I think the theme of AI breakthroughs in the last 2 years is just shock and awe. If you were to see that Will Smith video, it almost seems like it was from 5 years ago. And it was just somebody doing it in their basement on some old 1990s computer program comparatively to the new videos by Sora. So it is quite stunning. And even people within the AI industry are quite shocked and kind of questioning, what is this moment that we're in right now?
This is the question I always want to put to the AI folks is, hey, you've seen how far you've progressed. Do you feel the need to continue to progress at the same pace? Because I'm getting a little concerned about where we could be in just a few short months. So if the technology's evolved that much in less than a year, I can't imagine where we'll be a year from now. If I'm just going to think about 10 months from now, hey, that's a U.S. election, in the calendar. What are the biggest risks, in your opinion, of this pace of progression, do you think?
The risks, and you're completely right. I mean, it being one of the biggest election years in history, deep fakes and the power of misinformation and disinformation just got an astronomical upgrade with a video system like this, because now you can not only clone somebody's voice and create an image of them not doing something that never happened, you can have the video, the deep fake video to go with it. I think we all are a little scarred by what happened to Taylor Swift with the AI generated imagery. Yes. And what happens to many other victims. Now you can imagine that sort of content, but in video. And also some of the biases that are baked into these systems. We don't know what data was used to train it. And then all sorts of just different ways that these systems can be misused. And as you had mentioned, the speed at which these systems are being deployed, it's really hard to anticipate and put guardrails on in time.
So much of the conversation actually about Taylor Swift they were having maybe a couple of weeks ago was, hey, will she not endorse, Joe Biden? In my head, I was like, 10 months from now, it could be very easily the case that someone could just produce a video of Taylor Swift endorsing Donald Trump. And we would have a very difficult, time trying to falsify whether that is real or not. What is OpenAI saying about the precautions it will take with Sora before it makes it accessible to the public? Because that's the part that's coming next. The part that's coming next is they'll let everybody else use it.
Yeah, so OpenAI, they are aware of the potential harms and the power of a system like Sora. So right now there's no open release date. So it's only available to people who work at OpenAI. If you tweet at Sam Altman, the CEO, he might, and with a prompt you want them to generate, you might luck out and have him create the video for you. Sure. But right now it's not open to the public. And I think that's for very good reason. How long are they going to hold out for? I don't suspect it's going to be very long. We've been here before with their text generator. They did say at one point this could create potential harms for society. And next thing you know, it was GPT-3, 3.5, ChatGPT 4. So I suspect by mid-year or at least before the end of the year, we're all going to have our hands on this system.
I don't want to sound like I'm someone who's sort of against technological progress. I don't think that's like the last thing that anybody wants. But I think the idea here is the fact that so much of AI progress is being made by private companies in terms of, and they're doing it for profit, for eventual profit. That's a part that I think is ringing my alarm bells. Is that ringing your alarm bells too, in terms of who is actually in charge of pushing us forward when it comes to AI?
It does. And, on the one hand, private sector can move faster.
Yes.
And is much more known for innovation. So that's a plus. But at the end of the day, the private sector has a fiduciary duty to shareholders, not to the general public, first and foremost. And so that does come with inherent conflicts of interest and reasons for concern. And that is why government and policy exists for those checks and balances.
Yeah.
I don't think tech should be regulating itself. The problem is when it comes to industries like science and technology, there's also the knowledge gap between people who are setting the policies and those who are building the technologies.
Yeah, when you mention that knowledge gap, the first thing that pops to mind is Mark Zuckerberg testifying in front of, I see you face bombing literally because you know the moment I'm going to mention, but it's, somebody asking Mark Zuckerberg, hey, how does Facebook make money? And Mark Zuckerberg's face is just like, Senator, we run ads. And it's like, you do so much more than that. But if the folks who are in charge of regulating these industries don't know the questions to ask, then I don't know who we are at the mercy of. Sinead, I'm worried, but every time I'm worried, I'm going to have you back on the show. Thank you for your time and thank you for being here. You're the best. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great time.
Of course. Sinead Bovell is a futurist originally from Guelph, Ontario. She's also the founder of Way, a tech education company. We reached her in the UK. And that is it for the podcast today. Remember, you can listen to any episode of Commotion anytime you like, wherever you get your podcasts. By the way, if you've got a moment, check us out on Instagram. We are at Commotion CBC. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. I'm going to be here tomorrow. So if you're going to be here, I would love to see you then.